Family meals. Robert Porter.
When I was young in the 1960s, a lot of food was similar to now. Roast meat and vegetables, sausages and beans, that kind of thing. But nearly everything was homemade and not pre-cooked and microwaved like now. People ate a lot of meat in pies and stews. We ate a lot of shepherd's pie in our house. Minced beef with carrots and onions, with mashed potato on top. On Saturdays, we had salad. A few pieces of tomato, a bit of lettuce, and some cucumber and cold meat like ham. And on Sundays we had roast beef, chicken, pork or lamb, with vegetables, usually carrots, peas, cauliflower or cabbage, and potatoes. Potatoes were always boiled, mashed or roasted. My mother baked a lot of cakes and pies, so for pudding, or dessert as the Americans say, we often had a slice of fruit pie and milk, or some cake. There was very little yogurt, but we sometimes had some ice cream on special occasions, and we usually had bread and jam. The fruit bowl on the table contained apples, pears, bananas and oranges. We ate some fish, of course. Fish and chips was the only takeaway food in those days, but we didn't eat other kinds of seafood. The first seafood I had was a prawn cocktail in the 70s.
Karen Porter. Robert's daughter.
I was a child in the 1970s, and I still remember the first time I saw kiwi. In those days, a special meal was melon, then lasagna, and a green salad and maybe Black Forest gâteau. A gâteau was basically an expensive cake with cream. We didn't really have any curries or international food like we have now, but you could buy Chinese takeaways. I think the 70s was when people started eating more rice and pasta. Macaroni cheese and spaghetti bolognese were typical. Pulses like lentils and beans were popular in the past and now, particularly in lentil soup or beans on toast. But we didn't have all the pulses we have now, and chickpeas were new for me. I think people eat too much pre-cooked and fried food nowadays. We had fried, and of course Sunday breakfast was mostly fried food, but we really didn't eat many pre-cooked meals. Is food better or worse now? I don't know, but it's certainly different.
Sam, how are you?
Hey, Rick, how'd your date with Carla go?
Pretty good. I cooked and I made a risotto.
A what?
A risotto. An Italian rice dish.
Oh, right.
Yes, and Carla loved it. We're seeing each other again tomorrow because she wants to cook something special for me now.
Really? It was that delicious? Wow! How do you make it? My parents are coming at the weekend, and I want to make them something special, and I can't cook.
No, this is easy, honest. You just need a handful of rice for each person, a big handful, and an extra handful for luck.
Any kind of rice?
Yes, you can use any kind, I think, but Italian rice is best.
OK. What else?
About half a bottle of white wine.
Isn't that too much?
No, the alcohol evaporates while the rice is cooking. Well, a lot of the alcohol evaporates.
So, some rice, a bit of wine, and?
Some chopped chicken.
Cooked?
Yes, roast or grilled is good, and chopped. And you need half a lemon and a bunch of asparagus. You can use any vegetables you have in the house. Oh, and a bit of boiled ham, also chopped. Everything should be chopped, except the lemon.
Chopped boiled ham. So, what do I do with the ingredients?
Well, first you put some oil in a pan, and then, when it's hot, you put the meat and vegetables in the pan for a few minutes. Fry everything a little, not too much. Then add the rice.
I put the rice in the pan with no water?
No water, not yet. After a minute or two, you start to add hot water slowly, a little water, then a little more, and you let it cook, but not boil. Next, add a little wine, then a bit more water. You do that constantly for half an hour. When you've done that, you add more wine, a pinch of salt, and the juice from the half a lemon, and you cover it.
Hang on a moment. half a lemon, cover it. OK, carry on.
Don't touch it for about 10 minutes, then finally check it for salt, add a pinch more and a little more oil, mix it, and that's it.
That sounds easy, but I don't think I have any white wine.
I didn't have any wine either, but I had whiskey, so I improvised. And it was very good.
That would be a nice surprise for my parents. So, let me check. I need some rice, some vegetables.
London for foodies.
Traditional food options are changing in London. So if you're looking for a tasty trip to Britain's capital, here are our tips.
1.
London has lots of food markets, but Broccoli Market is our top choice. If you're looking for the best hamburgers, juicy steaks, or delicious snacks like samosas, spicy Indian lamb, and vegetable pastries, you should come here. Vegetarians and even meat eaters who want some extra vitamins had better not miss the thick fruit juices or smoothies from the juice bar. And you ought to try the sandwiches with local vegetables and free-range eggs. Delicious!
2.
Are a tradition you'd better not miss. If you're looking for the British experience, you should have a pot of tea with lemon or milk, strawberry jam, cream and scones, typical small biscuit-like bread. You can also try the memorable modern alternative, the Tate Modern Cafe. London's modern art gallery with its views of the River Thames is the perfect place for a cream tea. If you're not a tea fan or are counting calories, you should try their organic apple juice and low-fat cakes. Amazing!
3.
Are another way to taste Britain's greatest secret, good food. They're not cheap, but if you want to try traditional dishes with good beer or wine in a typical English pub, the Gun and the Ball and Last are two places you ought to visit. Wonderful English slow food like rabbit, lamb or fish, and amazing desserts are on the menu, but vegetarians had better look for somewhere else.
4.
Owned by celebrity chefs are becoming popular places for tasty pre-cooked meals. At some of them, you can also try a cooking skills lesson. Restaurants may lose customers as these shops teach you how to cook marvelous Mexican street food, perfect pasta, or fantastic fish, and you eat it there after the class. Welcome to today's program, where we find out if food can make us happy. In the studio today, we have Alan Middleton, an expert in food science, who is going to tell us if there is any relationship between emotions and food. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Melinda. And yes, there is a strong relationship between food and emotions. Some kinds of food affect our emotions, and emotions can also affect what, when, and how much we choose to eat.
Really? Food and emotions are linked?
Oh, yes. It's partly chemistry. As you know, our brain tells our body what to do. Our brain says, stand up, and our body stands up. Our brain says, feel happy, and we feel happy. There are substances, hormones in some food, that help the brain send messages to the body.
Ah, yes, I understand.
Some hormones in happy foods help the brain tell the body to be happy. These include bananas, which are wonderful for energy too, and spinach and turkey.
Ah, turkey! Everybody's favourite bird at Christmas.
Indeed. Then there are sad and tired foods that stimulate us first, like coffee, chocolate and alcohol, but then leave us feeling sad and tired. However, there is a substance that can stop depression, and you find it in fish and seafood. So, if you like chocolate and coffee, you ought to eat fish to block the sad effect.
So, more fish, less depression.
That's what scientists have found. And you should also avoid eating when you're not hungry. Sometimes you feel sad or bored or even happy, so you want a particular kind of food. Normally sugary food, like chocolate or ice cream, or fast food, like pizza. We call these things comfort food. Many people under stress eat a lot of comfort food.
So, no comfort food?
No, we all need a little comfort food sometimes, but a little is enough. You shouldn't keep much chocolate in the house, for example. You should keep apples instead. Be happy, eat fish, and bananas.
Well, thank you very much, Alan.
Not at all.
Right, now it's time for my 2-minute tips. The 2 minutes when I give you my ideas for an easier life. Today it's food shopping and how to shop for a healthy diet, including healthy breakfasts. Breakfast is very important. You'd better remember to eat it. And for quick, healthy meals and snacks. So, the clock is on. First, you should never shop without a list when you're in a hurry. Never. When you shop fast, you don't plan. You just buy attractive things, and fast food is usually more attractive. So you ought to always make a list. You can write things you need, but you can also see if your list is balanced or not. Have you got fruit? No? Add some fruit. Have you got breakfast food? No? Add breakfast things, and so on. What's next? Oh yes, you should try not to buy things spontaneously. We always forget something on our list, but set a limit. Only 3 spontaneous things, no more. Then you should never shop when you're hungry, so you'd better shop just after lunch, really. When you're hungry, you see things you think, oh, I like the look of that. I'd like some right now. And you fill your basket with comfort food or pre-cooked food or too many cakes. So no, you'd better eat before you shop. Next, let me think. You shouldn't look at the pre-cooked food. Don't go near it. Pre-cooked food in supermarkets looks good, but it's usually full of salt, and you ought to be careful of fats and artificial ingredients. Avoid pre-cooked food. Buy tins of fish and seafood for snacks and for salads. You should always have salad in the house and free-range eggs. You ought to have free-range eggs for quick and easy omelettes and boiled eggs and things. Then there's breakfast. You'd better put lots of healthy breakfast things on your shopping list, like milk and fruit. Some fruit with breakfast is great. Yogurt, toast, nice bread, real bread. Avoid white bread. And cereal. But you should be careful with cereal. A lot of cereal has got too much sugar in it. Low calorie does not mean low sugar. It's strange, but, nearly 2 minutes. Buy fresh fruit juices. You should read juice bottles and cartons for extra sugar. You shouldn't buy the extra sugar ones. And juice is better than cans of drinks. One more. Oh, no, that's it. 2 minutes. Ooh, happy shopping.
Let's see what's on the menu. The first course is lentils with chorizo, which is a Spanish sausage made with paprika. You've probably tried paella, right? That dish is very famous outside of Spain.
Albóndigas are Spanish meatballs. Have you ever tried them? They're delicious.
Salmón is salmon, obviously, and here it's served grilled. They also give you bread, a drink and dessert, all for €9.95. This is the typical menú del día, a set menu for the big meal they serve at lunchtime here. So, what do you think?